Hey guys, how's it going? And today we've got breaking news. That's right, from both PSA and CGC that might inform your decision on where to send cards and when. And spoiler, there might be some urgency if you're going with CGC. And we'll hop right into it. So I want to bring you this very quickly because CGC just announced that they will be updating, aka increasing their prices, actually as of April 28th, 2021. So as of the time of this recording, you have about a week to fill out the form on their website if you want the current prices, and then you have a month on top of that for you to actually ship your cards in. So that's May 28th, I believe. So to give you an idea of the price increase that is taking place, you might see that earlier on the channel I did show a submission I did to CGC after PSA shut down because I was predicting a price increase, and it's actually happening a little faster than I thought it would. And it's a significant increase at that. So if I just look at the numbers here, yeah, well, we got a 67% increase. What? 67%? That's pretty high, right? That's right. The bulk is actually going from $9 to $15. That is the lowest price if you send in 50 cards. However, the maximum value was 100 for that, and I was fudging that for sure if you look at my submission video, but they bump it up to 250, although I'm not sure how strictly they were enforcing that before. But that's still a 67% increase from $9 to $15 for bulk, and that's mainly what I have utilized CGC for and what I kind of think their value is, I guess, because the CGC slabs don't hold as much value as PSA and even as Beckett. So the step up after bulk is economy, and it's going from $18 to $25, and that is a 38% increase. But the max value of the card in that range is now from 400 to 500, so it's gone up a little bit as well. Standard is now going from 25 to 35, which is a 40% increase, and the max value is staying the same for that tier. And then Express is from 40 to 60, so that is a 50% increase. Walkthrough is going from 75 to 125. There's an unlimited value there, and it's a 67% increase as well. And notably, if you want subgrades, so this would apply for any tier, the addition of subgrades is now going from $7 to $10 per card, which is a 43% increase. So every tier saw an increase of at least 38% and up to 67%. So across the board, pretty decent increase in the cost. And the fact that they're doing this is probably a reaction to both PSA doing similarly and shutting down, as well as just the overwhelming demand that the whole industry is seeing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they raise their prices again in the next 6 months. And I also would not be surprised if they temporarily shut off their bulk service. That saw one of the biggest increases was actually bulk and walkthrough. And walkthrough, they probably just thought they wanted to increase their, higher end price because PSA obviously has very expensive high end prices. And they want to maybe build that market up. But bulk is definitely where they're increasing it the most because they're probably seeing a huge amount of bulk. Partially my fault. I contributed to that myself, sending in just a bunch of bulk to them. But they're the bulk company. And I think if you're going to send in bulk and you want it graded, sending in your bulk Pokemon cards to CGC now before the price increase is the thing to do, because $9 a card is pretty good. If you don't get subgrades, which I'm not getting on most of the ones I send in, it's kind of hard to beat that price. A slab for $9, I mean, pretty good. It's definitely going to increase the value if you choose the cards correctly. I know they're tougher grade and you're not going to get a 10 very much likely, and the card slabs don't hold as much value as PSA, but PSA shut down, so you don't really have an option anyway. So next we're moving on to PSA, where the other piece of news comes out. So as you might remember, PSA did a big increase in their prices, some of them doubling, and also PSA has shut down until at least July 1st, which is part of the reason why we hear the dominoes falling, right? That's why CGC most likely is increasing their prices. However, the shutdown is until July 1st, and with the price increases, this is why I decided to submit to CGC, because the current updated prices of PSA were relatively high at $20 a card, For the low end stuff, I didn't think it was worth an extra $11 a card and waiting an eternity before I even, months before I could even potentially submit again, and then another eternity on top of that before I would even get the cards back. So I decided to just go with CGC for that, and I still think that's the right play. The other juicy news is PSA has recently purchased Geniment, I believe is what the company is called, and they have AI technology that PSA plans to utilize for their card grading, and that is something that is supposed to, speed it up, help the humans. The bots are apparently on our side now, instead of just, swooping up all the supply and stock on websites so you can't get any Pokemon cards. Now they should increase the scalability of PSA and make them better able to handle everything and keep the times down lower. And it might also make it less likely that they increase prices in the future if they can keep their costs down by just using technology instead of having to hire, a huge workforce of graders, which they already kind of have. And another thing is that PSA says this technology has what they called card fingerprinting, which might make it to where you aren't going to be able to crack cards and resubmit them multiple times, because it should, I guess, according to what they're putting in their press release here, that it will fingerprint the card and remember it. So I guess if the system sees your card more than once, it's going to know, and it might just give you the same grade again. And also it probably would be more accurate, so it might not, give you a different grade anyway. But who knows? Technology is always great in theory until shit hits the fan. So we might have high hopes for PSA's utilization of this AI technology for the grading process, and it's probably the necessary step for the future. However, you know how it is with technology. Sometimes it's hit or miss, and there's lots of bugs. As Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a game plan until they get punched. Is that funny? So I believe it was on March 1st that PSA announced their price increase without giving people much warning. That was them trying to deal with some of the problems with having so much intake. And then they announced they had to shut down their first 4 tiers, which was value, economy, regular, and express. So all of those are currently suspended until July 1st. They still currently have Super Express, which is their current lowest tier, open, and that is $300 for a value up to $4,999. So currently, the only thing you can grade at PSA is, the cheapest you can pay for a card to get graded, if you were to submit today, is $300. So as you can see, they're not really an option for bulk. That's why I think CGC is kind of the way to go. But Beckett might be another good option. So as of now, there's no news on Beckett updating their prices or having any sort of official, shutdown of services like PSA. However, I would expect to see something like that, even though I know they did raise their prices relatively recently. The unprecedented demand is, making this somewhat expected, right? As we've seen, 2 of the 3 major companies in Pokemon grading have raised their prices in the last month and a half, so it seems likely. However, from when I talked to Beckett, it sounded like their services were pretty delayed, and that was a couple months ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if you submit to Beckett if you don't get your cards back for, 9 months, maybe even a year for the economy service. So Beckett doesn't really use the value system that CGC and PSA do, and I like that. I like that Beckett doesn't use that. So it's more about time frame. So you can use the economy service, which is $20, and it's going to be slow. That's where you might wait a year. If you want to add subgrades for Beckett, that is going to be $35 for that card instead of $20. And most of their tiers are similar. They have standard, express, and premium. I don't really know if they are giving accurate estimates of the time frame as of right now, but I would expect if you're using the lower tiers, it's going to be a while. But at least they're not shut down, and their prices are somewhat competitive. So in terms of competitiveness, Beckett has their economy service for $20 with no subgrades. PSA currently has listed on their website their value service for $20 as well. Of course, there's a value cap on PSA, and it says $4.99 on their website, but it's the same as the next tier, so I expect that's probably something they're working on. They might change. But if they don't change the prices, PSA kind of has a bit of an edge because PSA tends to hold a little bit more value than Beckett does in terms of a graded card, unless you get the black label. So now I've given you the most recent news in Pokemon card grading, and also a kind of a laydown of the 3 big companies. And my opinion of where you should send your cards is CGC right now. If you're doing anything that's not worth a lot of money, something that's bulk, I think they're the best option. Obviously, PSA is shut down, so if you want to wait for that, that's pretty good because they do hold their value in terms of the grades. But Beckett's pretty good too. So if you have, and since they don't really have like a max value system for them, I would consider sending stuff to Beckett. You might want to give their customer service a call and figure out, or if you can see, you know, what's their realistic wait time. Because I just imagine that once PSA shut down, it was just like punches to the face of Beckett in terms of how many sheer amount of shipments they were getting in on a daily basis. I haven't talked to them since PSA shut down, and I can't imagine that their turnaround times are doing too well right now. So that's the big risk. And the same for CGC. I mean, it's a hot mess out there right now. Prices are increasing, more demand than supply, but graded cards are sexy, right? Got to get them. And I'm not saying I think Luka Doncic is sexy, but you know what I mean? He can do pretty good balling. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It's a small growing channel trying to bring you interesting, entertaining, and informative content, and hopefully we all have fun while doing it. All right, thanks guys. This is Collector Commerce here, signing off.